On Thursday last week, a Santa Clara jury acquitted Will Lynch. That's the case that a lot of people are paying attention to. He was facing charges for beating a priest he said molested him and his brother 40 years before.
This has brought me certain closure. I found a voice that I didn't have. I've become empowered and feel like I can probably have some peace and get on with my life.
All right, so he's free, but the next move for Lynch, trying to get Father Gerald Lindner arrested, not for the molestation because of the statute of limitations, but for perjury. Joining us is Will Lynch's attorney, Pat Harris. This is such a unique case on so many levels, and thank you for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.
When people say, that feels good, but we're opening the door to vigilantism. We're saying it's okay to go in and batter somebody who abused you years ago. Your response is what?
Well, it was an interesting case, and you said it was unique. What happened here wasn't that he just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to go down here and beat up this priest. He had spent decades, literally 2 decades of his life, trying to get law enforcement to do something about this guy. And what it amounted to was this guy is living down there at this resort, and he's within literally within a mile radius. There are 18 schools, children. He's free to come and go. Will tried. He went to the DA's office. He went to the police. He went all around trying to get somebody.
What would they say to him when he would go there?
They would basically blow him off. They would say, you're beyond the statute of limitations.
Why does that law apply? You're a lawyer. Why does that law apply when it's a crime against children? The statute, he still did it. Does it matter that it's 40 years later? The child's the one who's scarred.
Yeah, it's a great question. The law's changed a lot in the late 90s and early part of this century. It's because of the McMartin trial. It was actually because of the McMartin trial here, because so many horrible things happened with that, and it messed up the whole system.
So many false memories,
exactly.
And it was almost a caricature of injustice. But in this case, and Jill and I, we've talked about this a lot, the statute of limitations makes sense. It protects truth. When people aren't around anymore, the evidence is gone. But in cases where the people are around, the issues haven't really changed. Why should those statute of limitations protect people like that priest?
Well, they shouldn't. And the problem you've got in these cases are a lot of these children are 5, 6, like Will was, 7 years old.
They're babies.
The statute of limitations runs by the time they're 13 or 14.
Which is the time that you could possibly voice it and have the, confidence to tell someone. Sometimes they tell people it falls on deaf ears anyway.
You know what? You can't get the priest because of statute of limitations on the abuse and molestation. There's something else, though, and that is that most people, including the prosecution, the people against you, believed that the priest was going to lie on the stand about it. So that introduces the issue of perjury.
Absolutely. What happened was, which was unique in any case I've done in 20 years, prosecution got up an opening argument and said, he's going to lie to you. He's not going to tell you the truth. So they knew he was going to perjure himself. Sure enough, at the end of the day, on Thursday afternoon, he got up, she said, did you molest Will Lynch? He said, no. The day ended. Next day, his lawyer shows up and says, that's it, no more. We're not talking anymore. We're
taking the retroactive fifth, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's too late. He's perjured himself. It's absolutely there.
So before you go, the very next step is what?
Well, the very next step is we have to go back on Thursday. The prosecution could still come back on 1 count hung, the simple misdemeanor assault.
Right.
So they could still prosecute him on that, technically. So we have to go back on Thursday to determine that, and then we are going to push the Santa Clara DA's office to go after this priest for perjury.
We live in such an interesting time, and I'm sure you're familiar with the case recently in Texas, where the man found a man on his 4-year-old daughter, and he beat him to death. And he's not even going to go to trial. Do you think that with the world of the internet and instantaneous information that we have, that these stories are getting out more? Because when I was little, you'd hear little stories about molestation, but not like it is today.
Oh, I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, there are networks now. There's a group called Snap. There are other groups of survivors.
Snap's been around for years.
They have. And they really use the internet. They go after, they cover everything. They push everything.
And that's the good part of this, because we want to take the covers off of all of this, but also beware of false charges because of the internet.
Well, and also,
it's too easy. Anybody can say anything.
To give children a voice, though, because pedophiles will always exist. They've existed during your lifetime. They will always be there to tell children there's a safe place to go to talk about these and maybe bring them up on charges is what's
Thank you, Pat.
My pleasure.
Pat Harris, thank you so much.